1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. New York, Bill, WOR, go ahead, you're up on the Savage Nation.
Yeah, hi, Michael. At one point, I was an apprentice to a Lakota shaman, and the way he expressed the religions is that they're all like spokes on a wheel leading to the center, which is the...
Wait. You're talking about me. I'm the one who originated that 10, 15 years ago. Don't you remember the healing wheel?
Well, I did hear you say that, but this Lakota shaman that I worked with had...
Hold on, wait a minute. This is very intriguing. How long ago did you work with this Lakota shaman?
Back in around from 1998 to about 2004 when he passed away.
Well, he must have robbed it from me, because I've been talking about the healing wheel, where each religion is a spoke that leads to the center. He must have been a listener to the show. You sure he was truly a Lakota? That he didn't just come from Lake Ronkonkoma? Was he actual Native American?
Yes, his name was Grandfather Wallace Black Elk. And
all right, so he was a Lakota. So he must have listened to me on talk radio, because I talked about the healing wheel where the center was God, and each spoke was a different religion led to the center of God. Maybe I stumbled upon it myself. It could be that in my research for Earth Medicine, Earth Foods, I stumbled upon that. I don't recall it, but I'm willing to accept the fact that maybe the Lakota Sioux did see it that way. Now, was that unique to this man, or was it unique to the religion, to the Lakota?
It was unique from this man teaching me. This is what he taught me. Now, on another...
And he must have listened to the radio show, because I'm telling you the truth, he didn't discover that on his own. He was probably a smart guy, and he listened to the Savage Nation to get his ideas. Okay, but let's put that aside. I actually still believe that. It's the only way to explain all the religions on earth and not put anyone down and put anyone up. In other words, if people are seeking God, what do you care how they're getting there?
Exactly. And
right?
Another...
Isn't that more accepting of your fellow man, and in a sense more Christian, to accept that people will find God in their own way? Can't you leave them alone? Why must they follow your way? I don't understand that.
Yeah, and that's what leads to, he said, that's what leads to fanaticism. If you look at...
Well, I'm going to tell you something else, Bill. We agree on that. I'll tell you something else. Like, when you can get so fanatic with religion, there are Orthodox Jewish people who follow, I don't know how many hundreds of commandments a day. You go into a temple, do you realize how wrapped up they are in specific rituals? A way to wrap this, a way to wrap that, a way to bend this, a way to bend that. They have to wear this, they have to wear that. Turn this way, turn that way. If you turn that way, you're going to get condemned to hell. God's going to punish you if you pick up your foot to the right, if you turn your head to the... How can you live that way?
Yeah, those are just all rituals. Those are a way to get you to the great mystery. But they're only rituals, and people get hung up in the rituals and forget the great mystery, which the mind can never totally grasp anyway.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. I totally agree with you. They forget the great mystery. That's right. When you get caught up in the ritual, it's almost a way of bringing your mind away from thinking about the so-called great mystery or the abyss. Most people don't even want to think about it, so they think about the ritual in order to forget the fact. It's like looking at the bagel, not the hole.
Exactly. And at one point he said, if you look at, say, in the Christian religion of Christ, you never see him pointing to his head. He's always pointing to his heart, because that's the only place where you're truly going to find the answer. The mind will never comprehend the mind of the Creator, or why things happen, and we try to explain it with our minds. It's impossible.
Well, when I started talking about religion on this show, and I don't want to get sidetracked because I'm having a good time, and it's only Monday yet, religion comes up Friday. I remember saying to I think it was Reverend Falbo when we had that great debate here on the Savage Nation, which you know what, Beowulf, let's get it for Friday. It's a great. I lost a lot of people who didn't like me after that. I got letters for years afterwards where people were putting me down and all that because I didn't accept Jerry Falwell's view of reality, that is that only Christians can go to heaven. But I was shocked that Jerry Falwell said that. And then we debated it afterwards, and there were many other Christian theologians who called and said he was wrong, that they don't agree that only Christians can go to heaven. So I thought it was a rather narrow view of what heaven is, and a rather narrow view of Christianity, incidentally. But having said that, I thought about the Native Americans who had been in North America, for example, for at least 10,000 years prior to the arrival of the European. Is that fairly accurate geologically and anthropologically, about 10,000 years?
I believe so, yes.
All right. Well, I'm a trained anthropologist with an actual master's degree before my PhD in another field. It's 10,000 years of living here in North America. You're telling me in these 10,000 years there were no saintly human beings and no devils? that they were all pagans and heathens and deserved to go to hell? I don't want to accept that. I want to accept that in any generation, at any time, amongst any religion, amongst any people, amongst any ethnic group, there are saints and sinners.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, is that in your mind, my view, is that your view? Do you share that way of looking at people?
Well, my view is that there's actually this whole notion of heaven and hell are a little bit misguided. The idea of reincarnation, in that we're eternal beings that constantly are evolving into new and different beings, and really it's just a...
Well, let's talk about that. How do we know that's true? In other words, what's the good of it if we don't remember the last being? I've talked about that on the show. Let's say there is truth to your idea that there is reincarnation. What's the good of it if you don't remember who you were in the last incarnation, whether you were a mouse or an eagle? If you don't remember it, what's the good of it?
Because you're thinking of it in terms of your mind. On a soul level, on a heart level, you remember it all. And
so you remember you were another creature in another life?
No, I don't remember it with my mind. But on some level, there's a soul memory of it. Now, we're trying to explain in terms of actual memory. Well, that's impossible to do that.
But my whole point about reincarnation, in essence, reincarnation as a reward or a punishment, is the way I've looked at it. Otherwise, what's the point of reincarnation? Then you'd have to say God is just playing with us. So in other words, it has to be a reward or a punishment. If you were a son of a gun on this planet and you are a mean, nasty defense attorney who rob people and they believe you're a good guy, you should come back as a lower creature like a rat. Okay? Or if, on the other hand, you're a decent lawyer who used your law degree for the betterment of humanity, you should come back as an eagle. I mean, I'm giving a rough analogy. But what's the good of it if you don't remember it? Well, in other words, you go before God and he says, you are a rotten, stinking lawyer, you robbed people, you pretended you were a good guy, you are not a good guy, so you're not coming back as a human being, you're coming back as a cockroach in Poland in a latrine in 1936. So you mean for that 1 second you get to know what it is?
No, that's the idea is look at it in terms of a classroom, that it's a learning process, like, say, Adolf Hitler. He comes back to learn his lesson by having to relive some of the horror that he
should only come back as one of the Jewish children who was thrown up in the air for bayonet practice, maybe through eternity. That would be about the appropriate punishment for Adolf Hitler. He should be thrown in the air 60 million times through eternity and caught on a bayonet and scream and feel the pain of the bayonet going through his guts, like the Jewish children were thrown in the air by the Germans. I mean, can you ever believe there'd be a just punishment for what he did to this world?
Well, he will have to relive that in some way. Because,
well, you know, I wish to God that were true. I only wish to God that were true. But I don't really believe that, because we have Hitler alive again now. His name is Ahmadinejad. This is a reincarnation of absolute and pure evil on a political scale. We had him in Haman in ancient Iran. We had him in the Middle Ages. We had him in Hitler. And I'm not Nostradamus. I'm telling you, Ahmadinejad is a repeat of history all over again. The man is saying what he's going to do. The man is going to do it, and no one stops him. How do you explain that? How do you explain that the world doesn't stop Hitler when he's back again? Instead, he comes to New York, and they afford him all of the dignity of a president of the United States. How is that possible?
Well, it's another lesson in fanaticism. How do we stand up to fanaticism?
We don't stand up to fanaticism. We have a government that is kowtowing to fanaticism. Especially, it's gotten so bad under Obama that they treat him with more dignity than they do someone who's actually trying to save America. How do you explain that? How do you explain the fact that we just learned today that thousands and thousands of people who were FBI agents cheated on their exam? How did that happen under Obama?
Well, these are all...
How did we find out today that TSA agents, 10,000 of the stupidest people on earth, now have top security clearance? 10,000 of the stupidest people on the planet have top security clearance. I'll be right back.